Hello, welcome back to the Fifth Wheel Podcast. I'm Hannah,
I'm Sydney.
and we're back. I
We
don't know.
are back.
We are back virtually.
Yeah, I'm in the same location. I just have quite literally rearranged my living room to have something behind me on the wall because your girl has no wall decorations hung up yet. So
That's okay.
we're doing
Books are
great.
better.
Yeah, we're doing fine. We're doing great.
Books are better. And then I got a mic so I could be like Sydney, and I hope it works fine. Sydney's mic was really cool last time, and I was jealous. All right. Well, this week was the Austrian Grand Prix. There was a lot of things that happened in this week in general, but lots to talk about.
Well, my thing is that Kimmy Antonelli finished school. He's and the best part, or maybe not the best part for him, was he couldn't really even truly celebrate his first podium last go around because he had to go take finals, which I just think is hilarious.
I know. Imagine like getting a podium in an F1 race and then having to go home and like finish your homework before school the next day.
Yeah, no, it's not funny. I got school.
It's not funny. I got
I got
school.
school.
I love that video so much. I forget about it until people say it, and then I'm like, I remember.
Oh no, it's not funny. I got school. That's what
It's
I
not
refer to
funny.
work nights as school nights still, just because I
Me
think
too.
it's more fun. I'm like, sorry, I can't. It's a school night.
It's more fun, and like saying it's a work night is like boring.
That's what school nights. So much cooler.
The school
Race
night.
weeks, so much cooler than normal weeks.
Yes, it's like it's all about the vibe that it gives. By
Yeah,
saying school nights, it's like almost not acknowledging the fact that I have to pay rent.
right?
Yeah, it's like it's a
Right?
lot more
Yeah.
like it's a school night. Like it's just it's there the stakes aren't very high.
Right. No, I totally agree. I
Yeah.
was just glad it was race week again last week because and this week got another double feature. But then we got 2 weeks off after Silverstone, and I'm what am I supposed to do?
I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. I luckily for part of it will be out of the country, so I won't have to
All
think about it
right.
too much. It's this is a perfect timing. I planned it around the race. I didn't, but it
Yeah,
worked out
yeah,
nice.
okay.
Thank you, Ashley, for getting married in a gap between race weekends. Hold on, wait. I actually real quick, I'm wondering how this sounds like picked up.
That was kind of crispy.
Really? Okay, I'll check
Mhm.
back that. I'll check back on that when we edit. But yeah, thank you, Ashley, for getting married between F1 races. Makes things a little easier for me. Well, would we like to talk about the race?
I think we do. I think we do like to talk about the race.
Would you like to take it away?
I sure can. I mean,
Would you like
qualifying.
to would you like to it's lights out and away we go? Sorry.
Not the finger guns. Yeah, no. So qualifying, let's see. Oh, remember, when Japan, the only interesting thing that happened was the grass catching on fire?
Yeah.
Welcome back, grass fires. We got a red flag in one of the qualifying sessions because the grass caught on fire. I think it was Q1. We
Let's
lost Yuki,
yeah.
Q1. Also Carlos. Evidently, Williams.
Williams.
We'll get into it. But they had themselves a great weekend, and by a great weekend, I mean probably the worst weekend they've had all season thus
They
far.
had a memorable weekend.
They're not the kind that you like want to
No.
remember.
No, it was
Uh,
memorable, but not in a good way.
yeah, I mean, and then other than that, Gabriel Bortoletto, P8.
In
Started P8. What's a polar
literally,
bear doing in Arlington, Texas? Actually, didn't both Saubers make it to Q3?
yes. And I kept telling Parker, I was like, why am I seeing green? Like, why is
I
there
know.
green?
Why is there lime green? Why are the Kids' Choice Awards, the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award car in Q3? They don't
I
do
know.
that.
It's concern. The next thing you know, Jack Black's gonna be there hosting. I don't even know what to tell you. Like,
Honestly, put Jack Black in an F1 car.
I would pay a lot of money to see that.
I would too.
That'd be funny. I feel like he'd be a better driver than Sonny, what's his fuck. But we'll get into that
God, no
later.
kidding.
We'll get into
Anyways,
that.
we'll get to the F1 movie because that also came out this week.
We literally agreed right before this we have to cover the race first because we have too much to
Oh,
talk about.
yeah. No, we have all of the thoughts and opinions on this darn F1 movie. And the first
Including,
thing
like,
Hannah said was, all right, now we can switch up the order that I have my notes here. And I was like, yeah, we're going to need to talk about the race or we will fill an episode worth of just the, like, you wouldn't get, if you wanted the Austrian Grand Prix, sucks, you're getting F1 movie commentary, but we'll hit the race first. So you're welcome. We're doing you a favor.
If you're only here for informational purposes, you're welcome. But if you're cool, like you probably are for watching this, you'll just have to wait a little bit. It's fine.
You'll just gotta wait a little bit. Just a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, other than that, I was excited for the race. I know Austria is usually a pretty good one. Was really just hoping Charles was going to finish the race because he has had some shit luck in Austria lately.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but did I save it? Because he had, oh yeah, let's see. Charles Leclerc has pitted at the end of the first lap in 3 of his last 6 starts at the Red Bull Ring, which was where we were. So was really just hoping for, not that.
Yeah.
We survived.
Sorry.
We survived.
That was the most,
but you want to know
actually...
who didn't survive the formation lap?
Carlos Sainz. Wait, this guy right here.
Carlos Sainz.
Bro. Yeah. That was crazy. So I watched the race late. I slept in. I actually slept in till like 10 a.m., which is really late for me. But Sydney texted me, and the race starts at 8 a.m. And I get a kind of urgently sounding text at 8:05 saying, "Are you watching?" And I was like,
mark, exclamation point.
Yeah, and I was like, no, about to, but based on your urgency in that text, I'm assuming there's something that happens at like turn 1 or lap 1. I was wrong. It was before that.
Yeah, you were wrong. Get
wrong.
wrecked, nerd.
That was mean.
Actually, more like Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, you know who did get wrecked? Carlos Sainz.
Gosh,
you know what? Welcome back, grass fires and brake fires for Carlos Sainz.
We'll get into the F1 movie, and some of its inaccuracies, but damn it, why is Carlos Sainz pulling a Sonny Hayes?
He literally, I saw that and I was like, this is too weird. The parallels.
No. Yeah, okay. So for those basically we go to start formation lap. Carlos is P19, P20, I don't know, back of the pack. Everybody else goes for the formation lap. You want to know who does it? Carlos. And then he does something, gets it going slowly, albeit, and is trying to catch up to everybody else. And then they start talking about how, everybody else's tires are going to cool down. Carlos is going to have hot tires. Well, he didn't have hot tires. He had hot freaking brakes.
Yeah, they were like...
They caught on fire.
It caught on fire on both sides, which is crazy because I feel like we normally only get a brake fire on one side and then maybe it spreads or something. No, but he pulled up to go and then it was like...
His rear tire said... Done for the day. And so they pull him into the pits because basically they had to abort the start. And if you abort the start, it's a 10-minute basically reset. And so theoretically, had his brakes not caught on fire and his car shat the bed, they could have fixed whatever was wrong when he tried to start and he could have run the race. He could have. But then his brakes said, nah, you're done. You're done.
His brakes said, I don't think it's hot enough in here.
Jeez. I saw something that it took like 4 or 5 fire extinguishers to get the brakes out.
That's crazy. And that's crazy. And it's surprising to hear that at times. But then I remember like F1 cars are literal rocket ships. Yeah. And it makes sense sometimes. Like with the really whole starting... Tractors. Yeah, depending on the team and the engine. But it's funny because I think about what happened with, like, he started late and so his tires were warmer. And I'm like, it's crazy that something like that makes a huge difference. Like, that's how down to the, like, science and down to, like, the every second this sport is. It's weird. It's crazy.
But yeah,
Oh, but wait, right before we started. No, I'm going to say that for the movie part because it doesn't really apply. So continue.
yeah. So, you know, RIP, one of our favorite drivers.
Yeah.
I Yeah, it was rough. And so
Yeah.
we lost Carlos. Everybody gets
Yeah.
reset. We do another formation lap. So now lap or race is 70 laps instead of 71.
Ooh.
I know.
But I wanted
Well,
71.
I know, but I wanted 71. Help me
Honestly,
on it.
71 could have helped someone.
Well, it could have had it not been, for Alpine.
So we all reset, and then we're going into the lap 2 technically, or lap 1 now for the new
It's
race.
lap one.
It's lap
Let's be real.
1.
It's lap one.
It's lap 1. But turn 1, crazy moments here.
Yeah, why's that?
There's a few things. Well, the first thing that caught my attention as the dedicated Oscar Piastri like fanatic today for some reason. I say for some reason. I love him. But he first and foremost just said like, when you're like in Target, I was in Target today and this happened. Same as the Formula 1 race. And I was just like looking through a clothing rack and the aisles are kind of narrow and so like this lady was like she was trying to get by me. She was like, oh, excuse me, just kind of squeezed by, and I was like, oh, no worries. I'm Charles in that situation. And the lady squeezing by, like, excuse me. And I'm like, no worries. That's Oscar. It was just so casual. He was
It
just
was
like,
so polite.
he was just like, I'll take that. And Charles was like, it was yours anyways. Go for it,
It was
bestie.
so polite. I wasn't even mad that
I
Oscar
know.
overtook Charles. I mean,
Right.
it probably would have happened anyway because
Yeah.
McLaren quite literally built a rocket ship.
And
Uh,
Ferrari.
but you're right. No, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Excuse me. And then, so that was the first thing I noticed, but then another thing happened. And it was really funny. And I can't help but laugh about it. So you know how like one of our recent episode titles is literally Red Bull gives you rage?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so our recent graduate, Kimi Antonelli, he locked up. Poor baby. It wasn't on purpose.
his brakes
It wasn't
locked
on
up.
purpose. He locked up and he hits Max. And Max spins out and is like out of the race. And he gets out of the car. Kimmy's not out of the car yet. I need to preface this. I wrote in my notes, Kimmy like waited in the car for a minute. And I'm pretty sure it's because he was afraid that Max was about to like
He was like,
murder him.
I just hit Max.
He's
This
like,
is not going to bode well because
no.
of, Red Bull gives you rage, Max.
Yeah, Max is like unpredictable right now.
Like War on Terror, and the terror is George Russell.
Yes. And you know how you ever played Mario Party and it's like don't wake Wiggler? Like if you poke the bear too many times, he'll like kill
That's
you.
Max.
That's Max. So eventually and
Kimmy's like, oh no,
I know. And Max like walks up to his car and is waiting on him to get out. And I'm like shaking. And Kimmy finally gets out and you can see immediately he's like you can tell he's apologizing.
He's like,
and
I'm so sorry.
I know Kimmy and everyone knows that like he was like, it's my fault. And Max, sweet baby, just puts his hand on his shoulders like, it's all right. Like, no worries, man. I saw this TikTok today and this is what it reminded me of. It's like Gordon Ramsay and when he's doing Master Chef with the kids when they're like crying like I messed up, he's like, it's okay, you're doing a great job, don't worry about it, keep going. And then it's like when an adult messes up, you fucking idiot, what do you think is wrong with you? And it's like Max like a rookie literally takes him out of the race versus when anyone else gets
George
2
Russell
inches
breathes?
too close to him. Yeah. I was like, oh no, but it ended up okay. So I mean, I say okay. It wasn't okay for Max.
Yeah, I mean,
but, like,
it took both
Kimmy's
of them
alive.
out. But I
Kimmy's
just
alive.
thought it's so interesting that, to see Max with the rookies versus Max with, I mean, George especially, but with a lot of the other drivers. I mean, it's one of those, I really feel like Max is treating these rookies in the way that he wasn't. Because when he came into the sport, he was the youngin on the grid. He was hot-headed, made, not bad racing decisions, but made rookie racing decisions. And
Yeah.
honestly, Kimmy in a few years probably wouldn't have made that move that he did that caused him to lock up. We'll never know. But I think, like, yes, Max, has moments like he did the other week where he just, quite literally ran into George on purpose. But I also think it says a lot to Max as a driver and as he's almost matured, as his career has progressed, and that he knows what it's like to be a rookie. And that, yeah, he got taken out, but he knows like Kimmy didn't mean it was it was deemed a racing incident by the
Yeah.
FIA.
There's
I mean,
absolutely no way that you could have looked at that and thought that there was any
no,
malice with
that
that.
Kimmy did that on purpose. Now
No.
had George hit him, oh,
Even
oh,
if it was an accident and George hit him,
oh my gosh.
like we got lucky it was the one Mercedes and not the other Mercedes. Like we got very lucky on that.
It would have been a completely different story, but
Yeah.
I
fear Max would have gone to jail.
he might have. Yeah, he really might have.
Yeah.
But so it was a bummer to lose them. But I also just think it too is just the mental state that Max is in right now. That man when I say I don't think he cares. And when I say I don't think he cares, obviously he wants to go out and do the best that he can. But I think he knows that, like, he's not, it would take, now I will say if anybody could pull off a miracle like that, it would be Max. But in all likelihood, he's not winning the Drivers' Championship this year.
No, not
If
likely.
things progress the way that they are, he's not winning this year. And I think he knows that.
Correct.
And I think he knows, obviously, that the Constructors' Championship isn't going to happen. I mean, Yuki was in no man's land at the back of the grid. I think he got lapped twice.
Yeah.
And so I think Max truly is just like, whatever. It happens. It's all right, kid. We'll get him next week. And it just, this era that we are getting of Max this season is so funny. And I'm so here for it.
Max is in his brat era, for sure.
He really is.
It's crazy. But let's see. So Oscar passed Charles, and like you said, it would have happened eventually because within a few laps, Charles was already like 6 seconds behind.
Yeah.
And he was kind of struggling on some turns and stuff. And I really would just love to have like unfiltered Charles and Brian, his race engineer radio. Like I would like don't cut it. Like just let me listen to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. It's not a race if Charles and his race engineer Brian don't have some moment, right? And so Brian goes, "We need LICO every turn. We need LICO every turn," which just stands for lift and coast. And Charles, "That's what I'm doing, Brian. That's what I'm doing."
It's giving, "Thank you, Brian."
I know. I've been quoting that a lot this week, but
it's so funny.
Brian.
I mean, you had that chaos at the beginning. You had a really good, at different points during the race, you had really good McLaren battles. They did not take each other out this week or one take itself out. But things kind of calmed down for the middle of the race, except we hit pit stop. Alex comes in, everything's fine. Lap later, comes back into the pits. They retire the car.
Yep,
we have now lost both Williams.
Yep, I literally wrote Williams, no, and I didn't write Williams. I put Weeyums. Williams, no.
Yeah. And so I'm watching this happen, and I'm like, oh no. Yeah. And so my coworker up in this new office, he's a Williams fan, and I sent him this meme that I found, and it was Williams' tweet of "We're racing in Austria," and then somebody quoted it, and it was a lie detector of like true, false, and it was towards false, and I just sent him that. The gif he sent me back was, he goes, "It is what it is. Disappointed but not surprised." I was like,
it's like,
they
intending to race in Austria? Yeah.
They technically,
but did they?
Well, Carlos never did.
Alex did.
Alex stood for a little bit. So yeah,
Carlos took a warm-up lap.
R.I.P.
Literally
Williams.
warm-up lap. Oh my God.
Yeah, R.I.P. Williams. And to any Williams fans this last week, my condolences. And
Condolences.
you know, the only they're probably my second favorite team. They are up there. And so the only silver lining was that Ferrari had an oddly good week. Like Charles was happy.
I know.
Charles was happy after. There's a picture of him looking just like so angelic and smiling, and I was like, oh,
I
I was like,
know.
he's not depressed.
Well, I wrote like because of how it all turned out, like the entire race was basically the McLaren fight, like the entire race.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they
so
were in their own little world.
yeah, and so because of that, we kind of forgot about like Charles and Lewis, and so they were just kind of doing their
Oh, I
thing.
didn't.
And so like the podium comes up and Charles gets on it, and it was like oh, I forgot you were here. Like
Oh, I
not in a bad
didn't.
way.
I was like, yes,
I was
Ferrari
like
3-4.
I was
I
just
was
like,
like,
oh my
this is the
God, wait.
best outcome that they've had, I think, all season.
Yeah, yeah. Well, also I put
Ferrari
like
3-4. I'm like, yes, I'll take it. A win is like that. We won. What do you mean? We
yep.
won this weekend. That
I
is a
said
win for Ferrari.
that is. I said that Charles pulled a George Russell, like does nothing podium.
No, literally.
He literally did nothing. Like it was like
Yeah.
the Williams, sorry, not the Williams. Poor Williams, rest in peace. The McLarens had their fight. There was a lot of like Sauber fights, Aston Martin fights behind, but then in the middle was just like both Ferraris, and they were
Oh
just
yeah.
like
It
they're
was
like, I'm here.
interesting because I feel like what normally happens is it's like you kind of have that 1-2, they're off in their own land, and then it's like 3 through everybody else. Except it was like 1-2, both McLarens, 3-4, both Ferraris, everybody else figure it out.
Yep, they were just kind
It
of in their
was
own little bubble.
interesting.
They had
Yeah,
their
it
own
was
little.
so interesting. And then
It was
you
a
had
relaxing race.
well, and then you had this is one of the shortest, if not the shortest track on the calendar. And so very quickly, you've got cars lapping each other.
That was
And
crazy.
and the thing is, you would think that it won't, when a car gets lapped, they're supposed to move out of the way, let the faster car through. And like do it quickly. Like you literally have to or you will get penalized.
Yeah.
Well, through comes Oscar, who, mind you, is keeping up with Lando. Lando had, I mean, just a fabulous weekend. He was top of practices. He topped qualifying. He had a great start. He did not bottle the start. I mean, Lando was on it this weekend. But Oscar did not let him go easy.
No, that was a
And
fight.
so here comes Oscar trying to catch him. Well, he comes up on an Alpine. I don't remember which one it was. It might have been, I don't remember if it was Franco or Pierre. Doesn't matter. It basically, Oscar goes to go around them, and the Alpine essentially forces Oscar off track and into the grass.
Yep. Ruined the race. Ruined Oscar's race, at least.
Do you know what he said on the actual team radio?
I have it written down, but I'd love to hear you say it. Love the clearing of the throat. Do your best Oscar voice. Do it in Australian accent for me. Come on, commit.
We'll do our best, but this is
No judgment here.
I'm only doing this because you asked, and this I don't know if I can do an Australian accent, but anyways, here it goes. So
Do you need to click clear?
Oh no, Clear.
There you go. You're all warmed up.
I can't. I've like anyways, Alpine still manages to find a way to fuck me over all these years later.
Yep. On public radio.
On the team radio
Yeah.
during the race. Like not an interview. This is not a made up quote. Like no. And you know what? I respect the hell out of it
I do
because
too.
my man holds a grudge.
And he should.
As he should.
Like as he should with that one. Because he in those last few laps, his gap to Lando
He was
dropped
closing
a
it.
second and a half in like 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I had hope, and I was angry. I wrote down in all caps, "Don't give me hope." But
Yeah.
wait, let me try to do the Australian accent. I want to try.
I just can't do it. I think
And
my
you
only
clear
I can do Honor Clear, but then I tried to think about how to say Alpine in an accent,
Yeah.
and my brain short circuited.
All right. Alpine still manages to find a way to
You just
fuck me
sound
over
really
all these
southern.
years later. I don't know. What?
Alpine, you went from like Southern and then transitioned into Steve Irwin. It was very interesting.
I couldn't get the beginning, but once I started, I was good.
I know. Alpine fricked me up with trying
Alpine
to do an Australian accent.
Alpine still manages to find a way to fuck me over all these years later.
It's just Alpine.
It's
Alpine is
Alpine.
the only word where you sound like you're from the deep
Alpine.
south. Alpine.
Alpine still manages to find a way to fuck me over.
But yeah, I mean, so like it would have been, do could Oscar have passed Lando? Probably. We'll never know. I mean, I think it would have been a good battle regardless, but it did, it slowed him down enough that he didn't have enough time to close the gap again.
Exactly. And that was like it was like the last lap too.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And so and you could tell when they got into the cool down room and Charles and Lando, he goes, "Yeah, no, watch this."
Yeah. You
And
want to
then
hear
he made them watch him get pushed into the grass. And he's like, "Yeah, isn't that some bullshit?"
Yeah. Well, you know what's even funnier? Right before that, Oscar's the only one in the cool down room for like 5 minutes. And I sat there with my phone. I recorded it. I have a picture. I was sitting there and I was like, are they gonna come in? And then like they're saying like, let's go to Oscar. He's in the cool down room,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's and like they turn off their sound and you just hear the whole like the air and like the moving sounds. And I'm like, okay, so they're walking in any second. And I'm like,
It was at least 30. Like it was long enough. They started the race highlights before the other two were in there.
Yeah, I was like,
that's
poor
so
Oscar.
funny.
Like, not only is he pissed, not only
hilarious.
was his race ruined, but he's in there by himself, just like
It was
stewing.
so funny. But yeah, the only other thing that Gabriel Bortoleto, he was driver of the day.
Yeah,
Granted, he started
deserved it.
P8, finished P8, but like those were his first points in F1.
That was that was another like, hey, why is the neon green so high up? Like,
No,
that
for
was
real.
crazy.
And I will say, I voted for him for driver of the day because I was like, for a rookie, his first points in that tractor, impressive. Now,
Yeah.
I will say, what even I didn't realize is that Nico Hulkenberg went from like P20 to P9.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
nobody was talking about it.
I know. I was like, I noticed that both of them were up there, but I was like, I don't remember Nico qualifying that high.
And the thing is, like, I was like, oh man, I was like, well, maybe Nico should have gotten driver of the day. But then I was like, honestly, no, I
The
think
rookie needs it.
the rookie needs it. And honestly, for you to drive like that in a harder track, like I thought it was impressive.
Oh yeah, well also like Nico Hulkenberg has been here for so long. Like it's not that impressive. I say not that impressive. It is still impressive.
Never had a podium, never won a race.
Right. And so the fact that Gabriel Bortoleto did that, like, and got those points and stayed there, like, in his first season is very impressive.
It was impressive.
Yeah. There was one more thing I wrote down from the it was from F1 TV, so you probably didn't get this. The F1 TV commentators are different than the ESPN and the Sky Sports ones. So, you remember the moment when Lando on his radio goes like, "I need pace, please help," and like his team was trying to get him like find ways for more pace.
Yeah,
he sounded very distressed in that. He sounded kind of like he was like, "I need pace, please help." Like he sounded kind of sad, and the F1 TV commentators were like, "He sounds kind of sad. I feel like maybe he just needs some encouragement. Maybe some encouragers like." You're a handsome man. You're a multimillionaire. You're leading the race. I'm like,
that's funny.
They were like, and they were giggling about it too. It was
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a solid race.
It was a solid race.
Learned from his broken trophy mistakes. Before he champagne spiked on the podium, he laid the trophy down on its side. I was like, wow. We love a man who learns.
Growth. That is growth.
That is literally. Lando Norris said growth.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it was a good race. I feel like we kind of sped through that, but we also have so much that we need to talk about.
I have a lot. So we saw the F1 movie separately.
We sure did.
I saw it on Thursday night, and I went to the cinema, And I went to one. They said that Regal would have the popcorn buckets. And so
Yeah.
I went to Regal. They didn't have the popcorn bucket. And I wanted to die and leave right then. But I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to stick it out because I want to watch the movie. I sit down in my seat. The movie starts. I'm not even kidding. 1 minute in to the movie, not the previews, the movie. Parker's like, I broke the seal. I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay. And our theater's like empty, which is, I was like, that's interesting.
Which
Whatever.
I think is so interesting.
I know. It was
I wonder
also
if
like,
maybe because y'all went on Thursday.
yeah, but also that was like the premiere night. Like,
Yeah,
like,
well, I
what?
will say we went on Friday, and when we bought tickets, there were several showings. The one that was in the IMAX theater was almost sold out, and then there were a couple other shows, and we went at 7:50, and it was, I'll call it 85% full.
Yeah, that's pretty full for a movie.
Yeah,
But
I mean, because we went on Friday.
yeah, but anyways, Parker goes to the bathroom 1 minute in, and I'm like, okay, fine. And I have my phone out because the theater's empty. Want to emphasize that one more time. Theater is empty. I had a hater come for me on this, and we'll explain why later. But I'm like, I'm gonna take notes. I was not on TikTok. I was not on. I wasn't checking anything. I was simply.
Oh, I was taking notes too.
I was just taking notes, right? And so I get a text from Parker, and it goes, "There's a guy out here with a backpack. I think he's a shooter." And I was like, I didn't even know what to say for a minute. And so I finally texted him back and I said, okay, I think I want to leave. And I started packing up my purse. I was like, I'm not going to risk my life for this movie. Like, don't get me wrong. But he was like, no, I think it's fine. And I was like, what do you mean you think it's fine? You just said you don't. He goes and tells someone up front about it. And they're like, yeah, he must have come in through a side door. Like, we didn't let him in. And Parker's like, but it's fine. It's fine. He's gone. And I was like, that doesn't make me feel better. That makes me feel worse. And so he comes back in the theater and he's like, I think it's fine. And I'm like, okay. But Parker had a time at the movies. We'll get into the details of the movie. Actually, no, we should do that first. Let's do that first.
Now, I will say, let's preface this. Okay. I had a great time, but probably not for the reasons that they would have wanted a movie watcher to have a great time.
I would agree.
I really liked it, but not so much the plot. Like, I liked it in the sense that I think that was one of the most well done, like, filmed racing movies.
It was beautiful.
Racing sequences were
immersed.
Unreal.
It was so cool.
There were some of the shots where, like, I felt like we were in the car.
That was so cool.
It was like, they had, I think Lewis had pushed to have Crofty and Martin Brundle as like the movie race announcers. So it was like, I felt like we were in a real race, but the plot, I think it was you that said it, like if the movie had just not had Brad Pitt's character in it.
No, literally.
Probably would have been a really good movie. And it's not that it wasn't. I think part of me thinking the plot was bad, and I don't want to say bad, but I think part of me thinking
it was kind of bad.
The plot was just kind of meh, was because we are F1 fans.
Well, yeah, and also here's another thing. It was, I don't care about like how realistic it is when it comes to like the racing sequences. Like there were some little things that were funny. Like I wrote them down. I'm like, that wouldn't happen. But like that did not remove any points from the movie. What is unrealistic is a 61-year-old man who has not driven an F1 car in 30 years. First day comes back in. He gets in the car, he tests it. Before he can even finish a lap, he crashes it, and they go, great, you're on the team.
You got the seat.
You got the seat. And then,
I remember I leaned over to Maddie, and I was like, he just keeping up his super license?
Right, like, does he have his license?
3 decades? I'm like, where's the FIA? Honestly, this is the one time, like the FIA, where were you? This is the one time I wanted you, and you didn't show up once.
I know, and it's funny because I think I like as an F1 fan, like not watching the movie, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, FIA. I hate you. You can leave. But in the movie, I was like, please rescue us, please. Like, this
Yeah. I
man is
mean,
crashing on purpose for strategy purposes.
oh my God. Plan C for chaos.
Plan C for chaos. What? And like another thing that it just there were like two women in the whole movie. They cut an entire woman out for
Yeah.
some fucking reason. She's one of my favorite actresses too.
Yeah.
And one of them, the one that's the race engineer, like she or the pit crew, whatever,
No.
n-
Oh, yeah.
only person that makes a mistake is a woman. And they
Yeah.
get onto her about it. And then Brad Pitt's like, no, don't treat her like that, guys. Like, trying to be like the hero here. And she was like, thank you so much. I'm like,
I know.
oh my God.
Yeah.
God. And then, if it wasn't obvious by the trailer, which it spoils, so I'm going to say it, he sleeps with
The technical
the
director.
technical director.
Ugh.
And
It was just so unnecessary.
it was so unnecessary, and it was just like, it was really cringy too. Like, it wasn't even well done. And then
No.
it was just bad. And one
And
thing
the thing is, like, let him flirt. Sure. Okay. But like, don't push the romance, like, in one night stand-esque subplot was just unnecessary.
well, and they didn't even do it well. Like, it was like one of those really
No.
poorly written romance novels where they're like bantery, kind of like bully flirting, like not like they're like just kind of like
Yeah.
taking digs at each other, and then they sleep together, and then she's like wrapped around his arm, like what are you thinking? And I'm like, girl, this is not.
Yeah.
But one
And
thing
it just,
I
and her
wrote,
character was so cool.
her character was cool.
And I think had the opportunity to have so much more depth.
I know
Just, it felt like it got stripped away
it did.
unnecessarily.
It did.
And
One
like,
thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, yeah, I'm just,
Angry,
it's well, not even angry, just like, it was just
disappointed, but not surprised.
disappointing. And maybe it's because we know how women have historically been treated in motorsport.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, I guess, I mean, even if you looked at it from somebody not an F1 fan, I'm wondering if that was their ploy of like trying to make it like bring in more, like, more of a crowd. But even then, the romance subplot wasn't
It was
even
bad.
big enough or substantial enough to like grasp that crowd.
Right. And so we do have a real life hero, and her name is Bernie Collins. Because
I
before the actual
love
race,
her.
she went on the paddock. And like, this is like 2 days after the movie was officially released. She's on the she's on the track, and
Doing
she
a
goes
grid walk.
and doing a grid walk and interviews every single woman on that track and what they do and what their role is and why they are so fucking badass. Like, Bernie Collins was doing the Lord's work. She single-handedly dismissed all of the misogyny from that movie.
And
Because think about how many people that had never seen an F1 race watch that movie on Friday or Saturday and then watch the race.
Yes.
That literally righted the wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, we know that, I mean, granted, there's still a whole lot, there's a long way to go, but I mean, I think even since we've gotten into the sport, there are like a substantial amount, like just more of women. Like, I feel like every time we see, you're seeing more women mechanics, you're seeing more women, like, I feel like I see more women in the background for these teams. And I think that is an exciting change that, it's about damn time. But it's frustrating that, like, we're going to make this multi-million blockbuster movie and stick to the stigma of, yeah, I'm the only one here.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just, that part of it really fell flat for me. But I mean, I will say, like, even with that, my favorite part of the entire movie was playing spot my favorite drivers.
That was so
Also
fun.
spot drivers and other people who aren't there anymore. When Checo, I was like, oh, wait, I forgot about you.
Well, also, Christian Horner jump scare in the first
Oh
like
my
10
God,
minutes of the
at
movie.
beginning of the movie.
I'm like, well, he should have gotten an ounce of screen time. But then Carlos and his Ferrari. Oh, that was like a gut punch. That was
Seeing
such a
Carlos
gut
in
punch.
red again, and I knew we were going to, right? And like seeing
forgot
Lewis
about
and
it.
Mercedes, seeing Gunter, that
was fun.
Honestly, one of my favorite parts of the movie. So we were talking about it earlier. Plan C for chaos. Sonny Hayes basically uses his car as like a battering ram and causes three safety cars, one after the other, in an
On
effort
purpose.
to, on purpose,
And like over the
literally
radio says on purpose.
on purpose, over the radio must not be public knowledge in this universe, because man, these other teams would not have stood for that.
He would have been
But
like
yeah.
banned.
Oh yeah. I mean, he would have had enough penalty points in
Black
one race that
flag.
it's like, bye-bye.
Black
But
flag.
anyways, yeah, so he now I will say one of my favorite carryovers from real life to this universe is Kevin Magnussen being an absolute terrorist
That
on
was
track.
so funny. I have that. I have Kevin Magnussen being a terrorist on the track, and him passing Checo on like turn 1 was canon. That was so canon.
Oh no, I had bet that's Checo when he passed him at Silverstone.
And Alpine crashing.
And Alpine, but it was just so funny because so at one point, one of the safety cars he causes, him and Kevin Magnussen have a little tussle. I think on the second one, you see Gunter lean out of the pit box and mouth, "What the fuck?" And
That
it
was
just was
funny.
so funny and so Gunter that I was like, this is why I'm here watching this movie.
Right. There were some really funny parts. There's a lot of tidbits that were dropped in for the F1 fans that I would love to just like say thank you for, because that was
Yeah.
very intentional. Like they did a "we are checking." Like I was like,
Yes.
that's such a deep cut. And they also did
It's lights out and away we go.
well,
That
yeah.
was like,
But then also they did where did it go? Oh my gosh, I had it written down. It's gone now. That's okay. But they had so many little tidbits for like the fans,
yeah.
and that was just very special. You can tell which ones were very intentional, and I really
Yeah.
appreciated that.
It was, like that part of it for me was really cool, was just seeing, I was like, it's my sport. Like I remember when they were showing the map of Silverstone and had all of the, they had Maggots and Beckett's at all of the corners. And it's just like, you see the hill at Spa and I'm like, well, that's Spa. I'm like,
Yeah.
I see that. I'm like, oh, that's Silverstone. And so it was really cool to just kind of see our fan of the sport knowledge and some of those touches that you're like, yeah, that's for the fans. That's
Yeah.
for the F1 fans.
Yeah.
That, and to their defense, they did also have several moments of, this is for the people who haven't read the books, to bring, it's like when they were talking about
The strategy for pitting under a safety
qualifying and
car.
tire strategy, I'm like, this is them in Hunger Games explaining the tracker jackers.
Right, exactly. And so that
That's
was
what
cool.
that was.
That was funny. There were a couple moments.
Calm back. Yeah,
Um,
they literally built an F1 car for combat, and I'm like, that's not a thing.
No. And one more canon thing. George Russell pulled to George Russell. That was funny.
Oh my
That
god.
killed me. I was like, oh my god, even in this alternate universe, he's hitting people. It's so funny. But
And on top of that, does nothing. P3
does nothing podium. Yep.
also
Canon.
can we talk about that podium? So fake podium at the end, right? Sonny Hayes wins. Charles gets second. George Russell does nothing, gets third. But my favorite part is there is no shot Charles Leclerc nor George Russell could have ever been an actor. George looks straight at the camera, and Charles is like,
yeah, they
but
do
to
not
Charles's
look happy.
defense, he had just lost, like Ferrari had just lost the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, that was not a good day.
My guy wanted to be anywhere but that fake podium with Brad Pitt.
Yes, exactly. And so they're like, hey, while you're sad, let's do this.
Let's do a fake podium.
I have a few quotes from the movie that I would like to discuss.
Oh, yeah, I have a favorite quote. Actually, I've got two favorite quotes.
I'll lead up to my favorite, if that's all right. Let's see. So you can tell that Brad Pitt had a heavy hand in the writing of this movie. So for example, the team that they're on is basically the equivalent of Kick Sauber, right? They are not a good team.
They're bad. They're bad.
But in like the second race, they'll just jump from like P20 to like P4 on turn 1.
Yeah, not even first lap.
Turn 1. And I'm like, so you know what? It's fine. We'll keep going. Sonny Hayes gets on the radio down a straight, I might add, going 200 miles an hour. And I'm gonna say this exactly like he did. there's no like strain or like yelling or anything. It's clear as day. Morning, Hugh. How are my tire temps looking?
Yeah.
Like he sounds like that. It's not even like, morning, Hugh. How are my tire temps? Like,
morning, Hugh. How are my tires looking?
it's as clear as talking into this professional microphone.
Like we're standing at the water cooler having like talking shop. Like
I know. I'm like, hey, that's not how that works. But that's fine. That's fine. You know, I'm like, whatever. They want you. We should probably hear what they're saying, right? Anyways. But anyway, there's another part where there's like this guy that's kind of scheming against the team, and he's talking about Sonny, and he goes, he's very punk rock for the brand. And I just know that Brad Pitt in the writer's room was like, write that down. Like, the kids are gonna love that. They're gonna think I'm so fucking cool with my
it's giving,
AirPods Max.
What are you doing, fellow kids?
Yes, and he has AirPods Max on that he's put a bunch of like cheap stickers on to make them look ratty, but they're AirPods Max. They can't look ratty. They're AirPods Max. But you know what? It's fine.
My favorite quote.
I said go ahead. Sorry, I have one more, but you can go.
Well, no, you go. It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more. This was the one that just like really, really like took the cake for me. Again, they're the equivalent of like a Sauber, right? And this is like, again, they jump to like P4 on turn 1 from P20.
Yeah.
And somehow all the other drivers are just like, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
And so they're making their way up. Like second race. They've improved so much in the past 6 seconds. And one of the race engineers on the radio stands up, like slowly stands up looking at the screen and goes, oh my God, they're going to take out Verstappen. And that gave me the same vibes of, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. I was like, you know that really old meme of like, one does not simply, it's like one does not simply take out Verstappen in a Sauber on your second race.
Yeah. And then they don't.
And then they crashed.
Gosh. Yeah. Also, where's this team's money coming from? Because I think one car crashed in every single race that we were shown.
It was so many, and I think that's something that like that pissed me off. Like, don't get me wrong, they were cool, whatever, but I think it kind of pissed me off for like the future fans or like the fans that's gonna bring in. I think they're gonna want to watch the races for the crashes.
And it's like, that doesn't happen. They're going to watch for 3 safety cars and plan C thinking that means chaos. And it's like, no, that means shit's hit the fan and they're having to like redo their tire strategy.
Yeah, plan C is not for chaos. Plan C is we're going to change our tires 2 laps later than we planned on.
No, for real. And so it's just, I remember, so one of the crashes, it's a violent crash. Like, I remember watching it and
my jaw
and
dropped.
Honestly, you know, you want to say F1 cars don't fly through the air like that. F1 cars don't immediately burst into flames like that. But Zhou Guanyu and Romain Grosjean have proven that false. And so, and I will say that for me was one of the most like weird and almost like visceral-ish reaction, because it was like the car caught on fire. And I literally think I was transported back to watching that episode of Grosjean's crash and Drive to Survive. And
I had that too.
I was like, I knew the character was going to be fine, and I knew that this was but it brought back that like, that car is on fire, there is someone in it, and it just, to me was crazy.
That was crazy.
But yeah, no. So my favorite line of the whole movie was, so Sonny Hayes' teammate, what was it, JP something Pierce? Yeah. He's, the rookie, goes to party, blah, 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 but he's slowly but surely becoming more, mature over this 9 race stint that Sonny Hayes is there. But he's in this nightclub and some girls
Omnia, by the way.
Him. Huh?
Omnia, by the way. I've been in that nightclub. I had a table at that nightclub in Vegas. I was like, I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, you saw this. There's this CVS in between the Flamingo and one of the others, and I saw it, and I turned to him, I was like, oh, I've been in that CVS.
So many people hung over out of their minds fighting for their life. I've been in that scene.
I was like, I've been in that CVS. Everything was locked up. But anyways, so yeah, they're at this nightclub and she leans and she goes, "Oh, are you a driver?" And he was like, and you can tell he's a little disinterested already. And he's like, "Yeah." And girl is so real for this because honestly, same. She just looks at him and goes, "Can you introduce me to Carlos Sainz?"
Honestly, yeah, I would move.
And the thing is, I can't blame her for that.
I cannot
blame her for that.
But you know who I can blame? The writers for taking another little dig at women.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it pissed me off. Was I like,
but it was
really
you're
funny,
right. And I was like, honestly, same.
I was like, same, but like the way that it was, they made her seem really dumb too. Like, I'm like,
well,
I get
she
it.
could be.
She could be dumb. I don't know. But like, it's just another thing. Like, one of the biggest F1 podcasts, I forget their names. It's those two dudes.
Red Flags.
I think so. They had like a whole rant about like women in the movie, and it was beautiful.
Like not that I needed another reason to love their podcast. They're one of the first F1 podcasts that I ever listened to. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yes, we stand Red Flags because honestly, they got more heated about it than we have.
They did, and I love that though because it genuinely,
I do too.
Every time people ask me all the time, like, you have an F1 podcast, are you excited for the movie? And I've kept telling them, like, I mean, kind of, but
not for the reasons you would think.
Right. And I've always told them, they're like, why not? And I always mention like the way that it's portraying women, like sleeping with the one like principal engineer, whatever. I'm like, I don't like that. And they're like, oh, well, that's not going to be a huge part of the movie or blah, blah, blah. Like everyone always tries to defend it. And I'm like, I know that that's not like, I mean, you know what? Actually, it could be a completely valid reason to not like the entire movie. It's not the reason I didn't like the entire movie, but it could very well be. So, like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just one of those things, like, they're like, oh, well, like, people won't take it like that. I'm like, yes, they will. That's why women are in the position that we are, is because they keep doing this to us in media. Yeah. It's like, that's how we should treat women. But whatever. I digress on that. That was a funny moment though, because girls, same. I'd be like,
no, like, can you introduce me to Carlos Sainz? Same girl.
Yeah. Because... Anyways, it's, like, besides the like, hey, really rude of them for portraying women that way, but also I am that woman.
And I'd like to pretend that wouldn't be me, but
it would.
It probably would be.
It would. Yeah. Another thing that was so funny to me was there's just another few quotes from one of my notes. Here, let me just put it this way. One of my notes, word for word, in my notes page when I was taking notes from this movie was I'm gonna start that over. God, Sonny fucking sucks. He's just annoying, and he says the most insane things. So we talked about the things that other people said. There's a moment. And one of them was like, why do you race? And he's like, I don't know. There's just like, when you're in the car, there's a moment, your heart rate slows and everything's calm. I've never felt more peace than I do in a car. I'm like, hey, you're in a rocket ship, bestie.
Yeah.
That's like, any driver will tell you that's like the most stressful 2 hours you can be put through.
You want to know what you don't do while you're driving an F1 car? As someone who's never driven an F1 car, zone out.
No, that's death for you and everyone.
Yeah, zone out equals die.
Right, exactly. And then another one was like, it was like leading up to the final race, and it was someone on the team was like, we've got 2 cars in the mix, and Sonny goes, but we've got team. And I was like, hey man, what?
Hey man.
What? This isn't like. Yeah, I'm sure all of the lower teams in F1 are proud of their teamwork, but that doesn't mean that they win Abu Dhabi. Also, trigger alert for Abu Dhabi 2021 on that one. That was crazy. But also, like, in the last race, he spends the whole race setting Pierce, his teammate, up for the win.
Yes!
And they did do a little through goes Hamilton that was really funny. Thank you, Liz.
That was another. I was like,
that was great.
Through goes Hamilton.
That's important. And at this point, I would like to mention, guys, this is in like the last 20 minutes of the movie.
What's your husband doing?
About 40 minutes before that, Parker fell asleep, and he is still asleep during this race scene. That's very loud. Sydney, I wore my loop earplugs for the movie. It was so loud. Like, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Like, my ears are sensitive. But Parker was asleep. And so he spends this whole last race setting up Pierce to win. And then a little error is made. And then he's like, oh, well, I'm just going to win real quick.
Yeah. I kind of hated that.
I did too. And
the thing was, I knew something had to happen because the fake podium involves Brad Pitt winning. And so I'm like, and I get it. It's because it's like, oh, he's the rookie. He's coming back. He's going to have this fabulous career. And I'm like, I think that was my other issue with the whole plot is it's like you could tell he's trying this whole movie to help this rookie get better. It was actually part of the plot that I really liked.
Yes, I agree.
Hayes is spending this movie like trying to build confidence in this driver and show him things and tell him things and basically build it. I was like, if the movie had been all of that, I would have enjoyed it for plot and like F1 fan things.
And if Pierce had won that race, I would have been actually very happy.
Yes. And so, but then him and Lewis have this bit, and granted, it was a really cool battle, but then he, makes a mistake. He makes a rookie mistake and takes him and Lewis out. So through goes Sonny, and it's Sonny Charles George. And it just, it was aggravating because I knew it was going to happen. And
yeah. And also, would like to mention, wins one race, quits entire sport. Did he not sign a contract? Did he not sign a contract?
No. Well, because remember they brought him. Let's be real. You think there's any kind of contract in this movie?
No. But still, also like wins one race. That was fun. I'm gonna quit because I have health issues with my back and do a motorsport that is 50,000 million billion trillion times worse for my back.
That's just him driving whatever he wants to because he likes racing anything. And I'm like, just calm down, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, so I took a video of Parker sleeping in the theater, and here's where things get kind of messy. I take a video of Parker sleeping in the theater. I thought it was hilarious.
Objectively, it was hilarious.
I wasn't disturbing anyone. Again, empty theater. Just took a quick video, went back into watching the movie. I posted on TikTok and jokingly put how the F1 movie was, or visual representation of how the F1 movie was.
I get the greater internet doesn't know your humor, but that I knew it was a joke.
And to be honest, not that I would have fallen asleep during it, but I hated the plot. Like the plot was like we've just talked about this.
The thing was, I was entertained enough by the rest of the stuff that I was locked in, but because I was watching the movie for the things that I was watching for, not because of what they wanted me to watch.
And the part that Parker was asleep for, I mean, technically he was asleep for like the most exciting part of it too. But the part that I posted was like the hospital scene where they're just talking and it's like feelings and it's like nothing's happening. And
nothing's happening. It was quiet.
This.
All right, let me. I'll. Hannah pissed off the insecure F1 bros.
The F1 incels.
You
the F1
would
sellers.
have thought that she just like went over to them personally and was shit talking them in their entire lives. It was
the amount of hate I received. And you know what's crazier? What's crazy? I got demolished, right? Like I say demolished, I'm fine. It's actually funny.
It was so funny.
It is funny. But I saw so many other TikToks of people criticizing the movie.
Yes.
Way more than me. And everyone in their comments is like, so true, bestie. And then it's mine and it's like, you have no taste. Your podcast is stupid. No one cares about your opinion. You're insufferable. And I'm like, and they're talking about me, not my husband that fell asleep.
Oh, yeah.
Not the man that's sleeping.
You're the man. Yeah, the man is the one sleeping.
I can't deal with this. And the only thing that's making me feel better, there's a few things. It's funny. But one of them is that like the video itself, first of all, Parker, like 700,000 people, almost 1 million people have watched Parker sleep in a movie theater now. There's actually a button on there that shows like the amount of time that has been watched in that. It's been like 2,000 hours of people watching Parker sleep.
It's so funny. I'm probably an hour of that because it's hilarious.
Yeah. And so, well, it has like 60,000 likes and like thousands of reposts. So that like in a lot of comments as well that
Yes.
are like agreed. So like
And
it
I'll
wouldn't have
say,
blown up like that if everyone hated it, right? Like or if
yeah, well,
everyone
and
loved
the
it.
thing is, like because we were on the phone for a while, because I think you had posted it that night before, and then I watched it Friday night, and we're sitting there talking, and we're going through these comments. And the thing is, I would say probably two thirds of them are either just like funny or in support or like might disagree but are respectful about it.
Yeah.
Then there's just people, and it's like, I read some of those, and I'm like, did we think before we typed? There was one
No.
guy,
That guy
you would have
sucked.
thought that this was the like most critically acclaimed, Oscar worthy, like generational movie. Like,
That's what so many of them
basically
acted
like,
like.
well,
That's
you
what so
just
many of
don't
them
get
said.
movies. It's like, you just don't get movies. And so I commented because Hannah wasn't going to troll him. And so I was like, I don't care. And so I was like, bro, it's not that serious. And then that was what he said. Some people just don't get movies. And so Hannah sends me this picture, and it's of Christian Horner. And then the caption on it says, Christian Horner complaining
Complaining
again.
again.
So I responded to that with that picture, and it was so funny. Do you want to know? I don't know if you saw it. It may have gotten deleted. Yes, it's so funny. In the morning, that dude replied to it with my profile picture on TikTok. And I was like,
I did
I'm
not
not
see
sure what
that.
that accomplished. One, that's just weird. But two, am I supposed to be offended? I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a good picture of me. Thanks.
What does that even do?
I'm like, what is that? It was just so funny watching people get so pressed about something that was a joke.
Right.
Parker fell asleep.
I know. And like, so I made a couple follow-up TikToks. Well, oh wait, hold on. Here's another thing. So the first few comments that trickled in, there was like 5 or 6, not a lot. And like,
Yeah.
the video wasn't taking that much traction. And a couple people had said like, you probably have to be an F1 fan to understand it or to like it,
And
whatever.
it's like,
And so I did like a video reply to one, and I was like, hey, here's actually my like spoiler
yes.
free review as an F1 fan. And in the beginning, I literally say, we all have our opinions. Mine might be bad. Take it with a grain of salt. And then I
Yeah.
go on to praise the movie. Would just like to say, I praise the movie. I'm like, hey, here's what I loved about it. And it was actually very entertaining. The only things I
Because
didn't like were this.
as much as we complained about the plot and the whole unnecessary romance, like
It was
if
entertaining.
you look at like I really enjoyed myself. Like I thought it was a good movie. I just didn't like the plot.
Yeah. And so I post that, and people just don't like, first of all,
Don't
it's not me sleeping, and then they don't
yeah.
look at my review. And then I replied to a lot of the comments that were saying like, I like this and didn't like this. Like I made my stance on the movie incredibly clear in the comments.
Yes.
And you would have thought I said your mom smells bad and your team
Yeah.
sucks.
People just don't care.
Right.
Like that's got to be one of my biggest just issues with a good like with that chunk of the fandom is that it's like people aren't allowed to have opinions that differ from theirs.
Right. And well, it's very, and I say this as an F1, a years long F1 fan, I might add. Like, I just want to say that, like, a lot of people, first of all, I came to the sport from Drive to Survive, like season 1. That doesn't make me any less of a fan, and that doesn't make
No.
anyone any less of a fan.
Oh,
It doesn't
yeah.
matter
And
if you got into it last week and you're into it now. It does not matter if you like the sport, you like the sport. Would just like to put that out there. But they're
Yes.
acting like I just Googled F1 and saw a cute driver and was like, oh my
Yes.
God, you know? And so,
And that's and
I
my
don't
thing
know.
is like I feel like the people that get so just like up and at it about people having, opinions that are wrong because they're not theirs. It's the same people that are, oh, well, you're just a Drive to Survive fan. And it's like,
It
yeah,
is.
what about it? Like everybody has to get into a sport somehow.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, who cares if you got into it because you watched Drive to Survive or you saw an edit of Lando Norris and were like, that's a thing I want to know about?
Right, exactly. And so first of all, that just pissed me off, but I posted
Yeah.
another video, and the title on or the text and it says people coming at me on my post about the F1 movie when I literally made a review posting it and I wasn't even the one that fell asleep. And the sound is, that sign can't stop me because I can't read.
Can't read.
And then I also made one of me like spinning with Bridget Mendler's Hurricane.
Yes.
I'm burning out my window.
Because you successfully rage baited.
Yeah. How it feels ruining a grown man's day with a mild opinion on a movie.
Yeah.
That one didn't get as much traction as I wanted, but like it's just like it's funny. And I've got like 100 followers from it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like it's funny because we're secure enough in yes.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to pull up the TikTok and something came up. It's important and it's nothing to do with F1, but you have to know because I know that you're gonna know what I mean, why it's important. The Sunrise on the Reaping Arena is being prepped in Spain and there's pictures.
Oh my god. No. That movie. So sidebar. Me and Hannah are big Hunger Games girlies. And we big Haymitch girlies too. Like I've always loved his character. Sunrise on the Reaping is going to destroy me, and I know everything that's going to happen. Ampert, he is a baby. That is a child. Oh. Anyways.
Wait, Sydney, one more thing about it. I saw TikTok the other day. You know how like just people keep posting about Sunrise on the Reaping, and then you just realize more things and connections to like from that book to the old ones. Yeah. It was like the picture of Haymitch. You know when Gale's like getting whipped and flogged in the square, and then Katniss is like stop, and then Haymitch is like stop, don't hit her. He did that knowing that the reason that he got that was the way he got raped initially. He did that.
Yeah, no, I've seen that before. It was just knife right to the front, not even the back. These have just Suzanne Collins
jugular,
in the front.
jugular.
Like, yeah, she has not missed with one singular knife. Anyways, that was a very important sidebar, so thank you for that.
I'm so sorry. Continue.
I don't even. That was important. No. Oh my god, that movie's gonna destroy me. Anyways, the book did. Yeah. So it was a wild week. It
was
great race. Good bad. Schmedium good movie. Rage baiting and pissing off grown men. Like what more? What more can you ask for in a week of F1?
And I do have one more note on the movie. I'm so sorry. But this just made me laugh. Well, actually, I'm so sorry. 2 more notes. One, when they interviewed Fred, like the team principals in there, it's like, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And Fred goes, we don't think. It's like, yeah, that's accurate. And also he did not look like he wanted to be there. The other thing was, this is just funny. I saw a video today, on TikTok about the movie, and it was like, this movie has so many parallels to the Hayden Panettiere 2005 movie Racing Stripes about the zebra that raced in horse races. First and foremost, zebras shouldn't be racing. It's not a racehorse. And then Brad Pitt shouldn't be racing. That was the first connection. Another one was something about like a quote from the movie, and then it was like the final scene when they're like in the race, like the crowd screaming all this, but then it gets quiet. Like that's the cinematic aspect of it. And then the same thing happened. And the guy that's talking to her in this clip is like, I don't think that makes it the same. But I just thought that was really funny to compare Brad Pitt's performance in this to that of a zebra in 2005. I think you muted yourself.
I love this mic, but it's so stupid because
I got one with a physical button.
Why is it a touchscreen? Why is it a touchscreen button?
I got one with a physical button and it changes the color to red, see?
Okay, well mine's not that fancy, all right?
Yours was more expensive than this one. This one's cheaper.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think yours is technically the nicer one, and I was like, eh.
As I was saying before I so rudely interrupted myself, yeah, it was a wild week. Had a blast. I mean, we're like highs and lows. I mean, we've got Silverstone next. Like it's gonna be nuts. I'm so excited.
Best British accent, go.
What?
Give me your best British accent, go.
No.
Well, it's Silverstone.
No, no.
Okay, well, you have to practice this week. I will demand it next episode. Practice
Okay,
this
well,
week.
I still won't do it.
That's rude.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll practice. I have a few British accents depending on the region. Well, who else? It's Lewis's home race. Is there any other? And it's Lando's home race,
Girl,
right?
half the grid is British.
That's what I'm thinking. Like Lewis, it's Lando, it's George,
It's Ollie.
Ollie.
It is Williams. It's basically, I mean, McLaren is based at like it's literally half the driver's home race and half the grid's home race.
Yeah. So it's going to be very exciting then. That's high stakes, high tension because everyone's like home race, but there can only be one winner.
I hope it rains.
I do too. I kind of miss rain.
I know.
It spices things up a little bit.
It does. It stresses me the hell out, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's like
it isn't, but
yeah. I just think back to like week 1 with like the literal pinball that was played with the rookies.
That was crazy.
That was insane. That's gonna go down the history books for like first race of the season. Yeah, but Silverstone next week. I'm excited. I can't wait. It's gonna be a good one. That one's at like 9 a.m. I think, if I checked right.
Yeah, because England's only 5 hours ahead and not 6.
Yeah.
It's like one of the only European ones that's at 9 versus 8.
Yeah. I'll prepare beans on toast that morning.
Which I'm done pretending that beans on toast isn't actually good.
I've actually never had it.
I mean, granted, I would never get that here, but there, I'm telling you, that full English breakfast, big fan.
Good to know. I
might catch some heat for that. I don't care. Come at me. I like beans on toast. What are you going to do?
Canceled.
Darn, not any worse than you did rage baiting the F1 men, so
I know.
I think I'm safe.
It's an equal offense, actually. It's the same level.
Beans on toast, sleeping through a movie even though it was your husband.
Yeah, and it's all my fault because I'm the woman.
It's all your fault, right? Yeah, because you can control when he sleeps. But nonetheless.
I really can't. That man falls asleep like at the drop of a hat. It's scary. Should get him tested for sleep apnea or something. Like, I'm scared. Anyways, this was a great week. It was a chaotic week, but we had a lot to talk about, and hopefully this next week we'll have a lot of things to talk about as well, but hopefully not as many hate comments. So
I doubt it.
And if you're here because you saw my video,
welcome.
But also bye. Episode's over.
Anyways, yeah, with that, I believe it's lights out.
And away we go.
Adios.
Bye.